Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into your notes on your favorite movies and shows. You've got quite the eclectic mix here. You've got intense historical dramas, sci-fi adventures, and, well, let's just say some reality TV that's definitely going to spark a lively conversation.
It's fascinating to see such a range. On the surface, these choices seem pretty diverse. But as I was looking through your notes, I noticed a recurring theme.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What's the common thread?
Even across these wildly different genres, you seem drawn to stories about human relationships and, how we connect with each other. But it's not just surface level connection. You're digging deeper, analyzing the nuances of these relationships and how they play out in different contexts.
You're right. Now that you mention it, that totally makes sense. Like in Stranger Things, my notes are all about Eleven's journey and the intense friendships within the group. I even have a note here about how Millie Bobby Brown was only 11 years old when they started filming.
That's a really interesting point. Think about the layers there.
Mm.
You have 11 navigating this extraordinary situation with psychic powers and demogorgons, but at the same time, she's just a kid craving connection and a sense of belonging.
Right. And to think that Millie Bobby Brown was going through her own coming of age experience while playing this character, that adds another layer to the performance.
Absolutely. Child actors often bring this raw authenticity to their roles. And in Stranger Things, I think it enhances the emotional impact of Eleven's story.
It definitely makes you think about the behind the scenes aspects, like how they direct child actors and, the ethical considerations involved.
Exactly. It raises all sorts of questions about representation, responsibility, and the unique challenges of working with young performers in such a demanding industry.
And speaking of complex dynamics, my notes on The Crown are all about the humanization of historical figures, especially during those Diana years. Seeing these larger-than-life personalities portrayed with flaws and vulnerabilities, it really makes you reconsider the history books.
It's like we're peering behind the curtain, getting a glimpse into the private lives of these public figures. You even mentioned how much the actress who played Diana resonated with you emotionally. What was it about her performance that stood out?
It's hard to put into words, but she captured this delicate balance of strength and vulnerability that I think a lot of people, especially women, can relate to, especially during those years when Diana was navigating the pressures of royal life and finding her own voice.
That's such a crucial point. The Crown doesn't shy away from showing how women, even those in positions of power, are often forced to navigate societal expectations and personal desires within a very rigid structure.
And you can't help but compare that to Stranger Things and see these parallels of strong female characters facing seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
Absolutely. It's fascinating how both shows, despite their vastly different settings and genres, explore the theme of female empowerment and resilience. Stranger Things showcases the power of female friendship in the face of extraordinary circumstances, while The Crown examines how women navigate duty and personal desire within a rigid power structure.
Okay, so we've got sci-fi adventures and historical dramas, but then my notes take a sharp turn into the world of reality dating shows. We're talking Love is Blind, Too Hot to Handle, you name it, I've got notes.
That's quite a contrast. What drew you to these shows in particular? Your notes seem to focus on the contestants' motivations and the challenges they face.
I think it's that car crash fascination. These shows put people in extreme situations and then we get to watch how they react. It's like a social experiment, but with really high stakes and a lot of manufactured drama.
I can see that. But there's also something to be said for the way these shows reflect our current societal anxieties about love and relationships.
Oh, absolutely. Like in Love is Blind, the whole premise is built around the idea of finding love without physical attraction. It's a fascinating, albeit somewhat contrived, exploration of how we form connections in a world where appearance often dominates.
It definitely makes you question those societal norms
Yeah.
and how much emphasis we place on superficial qualities.
Hmm.
And, your notes even point out how the show's structure, with its emphasis on rapid intimacy and forced decision-making, actually amplifies those anxieties.
Exactly. It forces the contestants and the viewers to confront those questions head on. And let's be honest, it makes for some pretty entertaining television.
It does indeed.
Yeah.
But even with all the manufactured drama, these shows offer a glimpse into the complexities of modern dating and the universal desire for connection, albeit within a very specific and often exaggerated context.
Okay, I'm ready for the grand finale. Prepare yourself because my notes reveal a deep and perhaps somewhat questionable love for the Sharknado franchise.
Ah, yes, the so bad it's good phenomena. There's a certain charm to those films, wouldn't you say?
Charm. I'd say it's more like glorious ridiculousness. I mean, flying sharks, chainsaws. It's pure, unadulterated escapism. And sometimes that's exactly what you need.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Your notes highlight that need for a break from reality, a chance to laugh at the absurdity of it all. There's a certain catharsis in embracing the over-the-top, isn't there?
Definitely. It's like giving your brain permission to shut off and just enjoy the ride. And who doesn't love a good shark attack, even if it's completely implausible?
I think it speaks to our primal fears. That fascination with the unknown and the uncontrollable. Sharknado takes that fear, exaggerates it to the point of absurdity, and then allows us to laugh at it. It's a way of processing those anxieties in a safe and entertaining environment.
That's a surprisingly insightful take on a movie about flying sharks, but I think you've convinced me. Maybe there is more to Sharknado than meets the eye.
Perhaps. Or maybe it's just a fun, mindless way to de-stress. Either way, I appreciate your willingness to embrace the ridiculous.
Hey, life is too short to take everything seriously. And sometimes you just need to let loose and enjoy the sheer absurdity of it all.
Well said. And it seems like you found a great balance in your entertainment choices. You delve into thought-provoking historical dramas, explore the nuances of human connection and sci-fi adventures, and even indulge in the guilty pleasure of over-the-top reality TV and, of course, those wonderfully absurd Sharknado films.
I never thought I'd be analyzing my love for Sharknado on a podcast, but here we are. It's fascinating to see how these seemingly random choices actually reveal a lot about my interests and even maybe some deeper motivations.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We've got a lot more to unpack, so let's dive into some of these specific shows in more detail. It's interesting how we often categorize shows like Sharknado or reality TV as like guilty pleasures. But maybe that label is a bit too dismissive.
I'm listening. You've already convinced me there might be more to Sharknado than meets the eye. What about the reality dating shows? What's the deeper dive there?
Well, think about the way these shows tap into our natural curiosity about relationships. We're hardwired to seek connection, and these shows, even with all their manufactured drama, offer a glimpse into how people navigate those desires in a very public and oftentimes amplified setting.
Okay, so maybe it's not just mindless entertainment. I can see how they reflect some of the challenges and anxieties we face in real-life dating, even if it's all played up for the cameras.
Exactly. And your notes specifically highlighted the contestants' motivations and the impact of the show's structure. It seems you're not just passively watching, you're actively analyzing these social dynamics.
I guess I am. It's like you can't help but compare the contestants' experiences to your own dating life, even if your dates aren't happening in a pod or on a tropical island.
That's the point. These shows create this shared experience, even if it's vicarious. We're all grappling with the same questions about love, connection, and what makes a relationship work.
It's like these seemingly frivolous shows are actually sparking some pretty deep conversations. Who knew?
And that's what makes this deep dive so intriguing. Your choices, even the ones we might initially categorize as pure entertainment, reveal a deeper engagement with the human condition. You're using these stories as a lens to examine your own values, beliefs, and experiences.
You're making me rethink my whole approach to watching TV. Maybe it's not just about escaping reality, but also about using these stories to better understand myself and the world around me.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the power of narrative, even in its most unconventional forms. Whether it's a sci-fi epic, a historical drama, or even a reality dating show, stories have this unique ability to connect us, challenge us, and make us think differently.
So instead of dismissing certain shows as guilty pleasures, we should be asking ourselves, what is it about this story that resonates with me? What am I taking away from this experience?
Exactly. And the answers might surprise you. You might discover that a show like Love is Blind, for all its flaws, offers valuable insights into societal pressures and the complexities of modern dating.
Or that a movie like Sharknado provides a much-needed release from the stresses of everyday life.
Precisely. It's about finding that balance between thought-provoking narratives and pure, unadulterated fun. And it seems like you've curated a collection of shows that do just that.
I'm starting to realize that my taste in movies and shows is more than just random choices. It's a reflection of my interests, values, and even my anxieties. And honestly, that's kind of cool.
It is, and it's something to celebrate. Your eclectic mix of choices shows a willingness to engage with different genres, perspectives, and even the absurd.
So maybe there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure, just different flavors of storytelling that fulfill different needs and desires?
I think you're onto something there. And speaking of different flavors, let's go back to The Crown for a moment. Your notes specifically mentioned being captivated by the portrayal of Princess Diana. What was it about her story that resonated with you?
It's that classic tale of someone trying to find their place in a world that has very specific expectations for them. And Diana, especially during those later years, was challenging those expectations, pushing boundaries, and ultimately writing her own narrative.
That's a brilliant observation. And it connects back to the themes we've been discussing about human connection and the search for belonging. Diana's story, even within the confines of the monarchy, is ultimately about breaking free from those constraints and forging authentic connections.
And the actress who played her captured that inner turmoil so perfectly. It was heartbreaking, but also incredibly empowering to watch her journey unfold.
It speaks to the power of performance, doesn't it? A skilled actor can transport us into another person's experience, allowing us to empathize with their struggles, celebrate their triumphs, and ultimately learn from their journey.
It's like you're living through them, feeling their emotions, and gaining a new perspective on your own life.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of storytelling. It allows us to step into different worlds, explore different perspectives, and ultimately come back to our own lives with a renewed sense of understanding and connection. Okay, I'm ready for another shifting gears. Let's go back to Stranger Things. What stood out to you in my notes about that show?
Well, you mentioned being particularly drawn to Eleven's journey and the intense friendships within the group. What is it about those dynamics that you find so compelling?
It's the power of those bonds, the way they support each other through these crazy, often terrifying experiences. And Eleven, with her extraordinary abilities, is still just a kid yearning for acceptance and love. It's a reminder that even in the face of extraordinary circumstances, human connection is what truly matters.
Beautifully said. And it highlights the universality of these themes, whether it's a group of kids battling demogorgons in Hawkins, Indiana, or a princess navigating the complexities of royal life. The desire for love, belonging, and connection transcends time, place, and even genre. It's like these stories are tapping into something fundamental about the human experience, something that we can all relate to.
Exactly. And that's what makes your choices so fascinating. You're not just consuming entertainment, you're actively engaging with these stories, analyzing their themes, and connecting them to your own life.
You're making me feel like a much deeper thinker than I actually am. But seriously, this conversation has been eye-opening. It's like I'm seeing my own movie and show preferences in a whole new light.
And that's what we aim for in these deep dives, to help you uncover the hidden depths and connections within the things you love, to spark your curiosity, encourage critical thinking, and ultimately empower you to find even more meaning in the stories that resonate with you.
Well, you've definitely achieved that. I'm feeling inspired to go back and rewatch some of my favorites with a fresh perspective.
Excellent. And remember, the next time you find yourself drawn to a particular movie or show, don't be afraid to ask yourself, what is it about this story that speaks to me? What am I taking away from this experience?
Because the answers might reveal more about yourself than you ever imagined.
Precisely. And that's the beauty of art. It holds up a mirror to our souls, inviting us to explore the depths of our own humanity.
Okay, I'm ready for the final act of this deep dive. Where do we go from here?
Let's shift our focus from individual shows to the broader tapestry of your choices. We've talked about sci-fi, historical drama, reality TV, and even a healthy dose of shark-infested absurdity. What overarching insights can we draw from this diverse collection?
That's a great question. I'm noticing a pattern of strong female characters who are pushing boundaries and defying expectations. Eleven, Diana, even some of those contestants on the reality dating shows, they're all navigating complex situations and finding their own paths.
That's a brilliant observation. It suggests a deep appreciation for stories of female empowerment and resilience. You're drawn to characters who challenge the status quo and forge their own destinies, regardless of the obstacles they face.
And it's not just about female characters, right? There's this recurring theme of outsiders finding their place, whether it's Eleven in Stranger Things or Diana navigating the rigid world of the monarchy, or even those contestants on the reality shows trying to fit in and, find love.
That's such an insightful connection. It speaks to a fascination with stories of those who challenge, like societal norms, those who don't quite fit the mold. These stories offer a sense of hope and possibility, reminding us that it's okay to be different, to forge our own paths, and to find our own tribes.
It's funny how these shows and movies, even the ones that seem purely for entertainment, can actually reveal so much about, our own values and desires. I never would have thought about it this way before.
That's the power of a deep dive. We take these seemingly disparate pieces of your entertainment choices, and we start to see the connections, the underlying themes that reveal a deeper understanding of yourself.
It's like you've given me a whole new lens through which to view my favorite shows and movies. I'm seeing connections and themes I never noticed before.
And that's what we hope for in these deep dives, to spark your curiosity, to encourage you to think critically, and to empower you to find even more meaning in the stories that resonate with you.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I'm definitely going to be more mindful about my entertainment choices from now on, not just watching for fun, but also considering what those choices say about me and what I'm hoping to get out of the experience.
That's a wonderful takeaway. And remember, the journey of exploration doesn't end here. There are countless stories waiting to be discovered, each offering its own unique insights and perspectives. So keep watching, keep questioning, and keep connecting with the stories that resonate with you. And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to create some stories of your own. The world always needs more stories, more voices, and more connections. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of movies and shows. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep sharing the stories that matter to you. Goodbye, and happy watching.